Today's lesson is all about hitting purer, straighter golf shots, and we need to do that by controlling the club face. Let's take a look at the lesson and figure out how we're going to do it with 3 things. So if you've watched the channel for a long time now, you will know that one of my favourite sayings is that the face is the king, and everything we do in the golf swing revolves around putting this little beauty back onto the golf ball and trying to get the ball towards our target. So how are we going to control the club face, and what do we most commonly see? Well, the most common thing I see is generally that people leave the club face open to target. So if I were to get my little pointer here and have it pointing directly towards you now, what I would see is that it would point off in this direction to the right hand side for me, left as you look at it on the screen. But we would see that the face is open to target. So we need to understand how we're going to square the club face up at impact. As long as we've got a neutral path and we're squaring this club face up, we're going to see that we get purer strikes, we're not going to get that glancing blow as much, and we're going to see that we get straighter golf shots. So let's take a look at these 3 things I want you to do to square your club face up. So in this lesson, guys, I'm taking it from a right-handed player's perspective, and I'm assuming we've all got a pretty decent grip. But going on from that, what I would see, one of the most common things is that most people are a slicer, and the big fault with the slice is that we know that the face is open to the path as we're coming through impact. So we would see something where the club face is laid back open here, where we see the toe laid back behind the heel, and as it comes into impact we get this sort of glancing motion where the face is held open and it doesn't rotate until post impact, and we try and flip the club face as we go through to square it up, but obviously it's already too late at that point. So we've not got the feeling of how the club face should actually rotate and release through the golf swing. So the first thing I like to do, and tip number 1, obviously I know you're not going to be carrying an impact bag around with you, but the great thing with these is we've got a little target zone here, and we've got a sort of a mock club face. What I like to try and get my players to do is I put the golf ball, the impact bag, sorry, slightly outside the target line and in front of where the golf ball would be. I turn it in a tiny bit, and then what I say to them, let's just imagine the golf ball was going to be here. With your slicing feeling, what we would see is that the first thing you would do is probably glance the bag across here, and it would be the heel that's coming to meet the bag. So we would see something where it goes over, glances across it this way, almost did a chopping action across it, and we'd see that heel is the first part of the club to meet the bag. So what I want you to do, and like I say, assuming you've got a good grip, would be, could we make some swings feeling that A, we're going to get the club face over here, but the little crosshairs that's on it, can I get my toe turning into the bag a little bit earlier? Because what that is doing is working totally the opposite, away from that slicey feeling of being out and holding the face and glancing. I now feel inside and releasing, and as I'm doing this, what's actually happening, it's not my wrists flicking in this manner, it's my forearms rotating and letting the club face turn over. So by having some small slow swings where I feel I come inside and get the toe in the bag here, I'm now training myself. By the time I get to impact here, the club face will be square. So we get that feeling done. So I get this feeling now of getting the toe turned in, and I'd have a few swings. I feel inside, forearms rotate, and I can feel I'm getting that toe in. So if you're someone who thinks about the club head a lot when you're making your golf swings, what I want you to imagine is that as you're making your swings now and you feel that you're struggling with that, not squaring the face up, let's think about the toe actually working a little bit over the heel of the golf club. So imagine the toe turning into the golf ball, and what we should see from there is we square it up by the time we get to impact, and also the path would get a little bit better. So let's give that a go, and it's the feeling, like I say, of forearms rotating, but I'm thinking mainly of my toe turning over and letting it square up as I come through. So nice and smooth. And there I've hit a little bit of a pull slight pull draw as I've gone through, because I've now let the club face rotate over. That's tip number one. If you're someone who thinks about the club head a lot in the golf swing, you want to think about that toe turning into impact. You don't want to see that it's dragging behind and coming from out to in. Let's take a look at another feeling that you can get to try and get this face squared up. Guys, if you're enjoying this lesson as well, I do want you to get better at golf, and you're going to do that by hitting the subscribe button down below. Turn on that bell notification, it's totally free, and you're going to get free golf lessons with me every week. So hit it down below, turn on that bell, let's get back to the lesson. So tip number two, guys. The only time we touch the golf club is with our hands, so it makes sense that a lot of people feel what they're trying to do with the club face and the club throughout the golf swing is felt through the hands. So what I want you to imagine now is taking your lead hand. So if you're a right-handed player, your left hand. And if you're wearing a watch like I am, that's great. If not, glove, it's going to be the logo on your glove. If not, you don't wear a glove or you don't wear a watch, it's pretty much just the back of your hand. Like I say, if we've got a good grip, what we would see again from that slicer who doesn't square the face up, or even someone who over rotates the face here where we get really rolly, is that as we would get into impact, we wouldn't see that the back of the hand now is looking towards target. With my slicer, or someone who's dragging it across and open, it's going to be looking out to the right of my target. For the person who hooks it, it's going to be that it's looking way too much behind me, left of the target. So really simply, what I would like you to do is imagine that you've got a brick wall just in front of the golf ball here, so just in front of where your ball would be. And if you were to take your lead hand and just make your grip, what I want you to try and do is to place your hand onto the wall, but don't let your forearm touch it. So as I would do that and my wall would be here, what we would see is something where I would get this now. So my grip, my glove, the back of my glove, my watch or the back of my hand is touching the wall here. I've got a nice bowed lead wrist and that back is looking towards my target. If I again was someone who's too open, we now see it looking up here. If I'm too closed, it's looking back off in this direction. So a really good feeling to try and get the back of your hand to look down towards target. As long as we're rotating the body and we've got a nice neutral path, what we would see if we do that is we're going to square that face up again. So we would see something where it's back of the hand to the target, not looking out towards the right or to the left too much. And if we can get this feeling of back of the hand, again look at the club face, it's nice and square, and I start to square my face up. So let's give that a go. Let's feel that my back of the hand as I'm hitting it, get to the time I hit the golf ball, I will have turned my hand to look at the target. Let's give it a quick go here, see what it looks like. And again, pretty much an identical golf shot there, just overdone it, and we've seen that it's got a little bit of draw on it as we're going through. So if you're someone who feels it through your hands, think about that lead hand and think about squaring it up and getting it to look at your target, not looking out to the right or to the left too much. Let's take a look at the third and final thing we can do to try and square the club face up. So the third and final thing, some people feel a lot of things through the torso, the body when we're making the golf swing, and a great way to try and sync our turn up and the release of our club face and see that we're not getting too handsy and too flippy is what I will call the split hand hockey drill. If we think of a hockey player, whether it's field hockey or ice hockey, what we would see is their hands are very much like this. And if they were to make a slap shot or hit a powerful shot towards the net, what we would see now is that as they come in, they're not using the hands to flip their hockey stick, for us the golf club. What we do is feel that we turn the body more. So notice as I do this now where the club face is. If I feel that my hands become pretty passive and my arms come passive and I just use my body to turn and get it opening out, I've got a way of squaring the club face up. If we looked at players like Justin Rose, Alex Noren, we see sort of this big feeling for those where they feel that they're over rotating, but become very passive in the hands, allowing them to try and square the club face up with the rotation of the body. So if we've got it, like I say, with a good neutral grip, and we're seeing swing plane and path are all very neutral, another feeling we can have, and this is probably for your better player, if you're trying to quiet those hands down, we'd make a grip where we can see now that it is split-handed like this, and you've got to hit small shots where we feel we're syncing up the turn of the body to try and get the feeling of squaring the club face up into impact. Like I say, it is a hard one, and probably for your slightly better player as we're going through this one. But with this feeling, the hockey drill, it's going to stop the real flippy one. So if you're more of a hooker, this is probably a better drill for you. We're going to see that we hit and get the body turning and get a little bit active. And with a 7-iron, we'd probably only want to hit it about 100 yards. So let's give it a go. Let's see if I've got this one in the locker. It's pretty tough, like I say. So split hand drill. Turn the body to square the face. Hands become passive and arms become passive. All about rotation and turning in time. No, not quite got that one at the moment. So as we see there, just a little bit pulled because I wasn't quite there. I just used my hand a little bit too much. So I probably need that drill a little bit more to get my body rotating as I go through. So 3 ways to square up the club face. Are you someone who needs to focus on what the club head's doing and actually getting it releasing? Are you someone who needs to just refine it and get that back of the lead hand squaring up? Or are we needing to get more rotation and really quiet that club face down for the hooker of the golf ball? Guys, I hope you've enjoyed this lesson. Like I said earlier, do remember to hit the subscribe button down below, turn on the bell notification so you're getting your free golf lessons every week and getting better at golf with me. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more lessons, and I'll see you down here on this beautiful scenery at Warrington Golf Club. See you soon.